Okay, so this is little Victorian steampunk lad Eric, and the $1 wall hanging frame I got from the dollar store. That Digi stamp came from Tickled Pink stamps. Really cute stamp. It's sort of a newer release for them. And I just really love it. That was the inspiration for this project. So right now I'm just painting the box with acrylic paint, the Craft Smart Michaels brand, in espresso. And I'm using a foam brush because I don't want solid coverage. I want it to be, look weathered and aged or whatever. So now I'm going to start drying this. That way I have layers in my painting. Some lighter, some darker. Just gives it more depth and dimension. Now I'm going to do the inside of the box. Not all of the inside because it's going to be covered by background papers and things. So I'm just concentrating on the sides and just around the edges. You can see a little bit there at the top how it looks, aged, weathered, whatever, because I'm not giving it a solid coat. Okay, so now I am going to use my Tim Holtz distressing tool to work on that background page, and the Tim Holtz distressed ink in walnut stain. I'm really going to work these edges up and get them really grunged up, trying to make it look aged. I really worked those edges with the tool, and now I'm concentrating on the edges and sides really good on this background paper. And I'm going to have to use some really strong adhesive to make sure that it stays in the box. So I'm going to use the red line tape. It sticks really well, and it's now that I've messed with that background page so much, it's got a lot of different dimensions to it. Want to make sure it stays put. I don't think the ATG gun would quite do the same. If you press with your fingernail or a tool on the edge of that red line tape before you, there I go. Okay, yeah. Press down really hard on the edge before you try to peel it up. It comes up a lot easier. Sometimes I forget. There, now only a tiny bit of the back shows up behind that background page. Okay, this is a super cool thing I just learned. I love to use digital stamps, but I hate that you can't emboss it. And if you're going to watercolor or use your copic markers on a stamp that you've printed out of your printer, a lot of times if you saturate it too much, it'll smear the ink. If you dump embossing powder, I used just clear embossing powder. If you dump that on there really quick, like as soon as it comes out of the printer, just dump a lot on there and heat set it. Your ink, number one, you can emboss like I did that title there, and you can also lock in the ink so you can color your images a lot better with those embossed edges. Anyway, that was just a neat trick I just recently found out about. Thought that was really, really neat because I love digital stamping, but I hated that it had so many restrictions. Okay, so I've been using the hot glue to get this stuff put down because nothing else is going to hold it. I've got a piece of burlap or jute, whatever you want to call it, in the back there. And then on top of that, I have a piece of embossed paper from the DCWV Tattered Time. That's pretty paper. And then that's a Digi stamp on top. Another little hint, if you have a stamp that you like, but it might not be the right size for the project you want, just do a really high quality stamp on white paper and scan it in your computer. Then you can size it however you want. If you need it bigger or smaller, whatever you need, you've got it in your computer. It's really, really handy. I use some really thick pop dots there for my image because I really want it to kind of have that shadow box feeling. And I'm using a couple of pieces from the Graphic 45 Steampunk Debutante line up there in the right hand corner. I've used a black safety pin, and right now I took a couple of strands out of that jute background and tied it into those buttons. I just think it helps blend things a little better. And about now I'm thinking, well, this needs some hardware, so I'm trying to find a key I think that will look good. I also have, later on I'll have a brad top that looks like the top of the screw, and I just clipped off the brad part, and then I used my alcohol inks and ginger to dye it to match my project. And so now I'm just roughing up the edges, giving it a little bit more worn look, and I'm going to come back in with some more of the walnut stain to age it a little bit more. And then as a final touch, you'll see a little bit later on in the final project pictures, I added some Tim Holtz corners that I really thought just made, just finished off the project perfectly. So there'll be some pictures here in a minute at the end, and thanks for watching.
Too pure for this wicked world. Your data's uncorrupted, but does something skip inside you? That's what takes up time in your life. Add the sum of the slides, and sooner or later